Hey guys, Editor Lane here. So before we get started with today's video, I just want to say that as I recorded about half of this episode, I realized that the audio from the actual game was not, for some reason, picking up. I didn't notice that until I started editing the video. Um, so half the video might be missing a bit of the audio. Um, I apologize for that. It's going to be a little bit awkward, especially in moments where I'm, well, referring to the loudness of other mobs, and you guys are, well, obviously not hearing it. So with that being said, we're going to get started with today's video. I hope you enjoy. Hey everybody, my name is Lane and welcome back to episode 3 of Solely Survival. Now as you could probably hear behind me, I've already started breeding up the animals that we have from last episode, and I've already moved in some wheat seeds and some wheat and everything like that to keep the process going. I just figured I'd go ahead and start breeding them off camera so we can speed up the process a little bit on getting leather and more sheep and things like that. You can also see that I've already decided to kind of well, trim the hedges, so to speak, out here on the grass because, well, as much as I love having, the foliage and everything around here, we're going to need a large part of this area for, later on in today's episode. But for right now, we're not going to worry too much about it. I just want to go ahead and get that started. I also even expanded out that way just a little bit, just because I've actually got some ideas planned for hopefully next episode, maybe episode 5, we will see. But it is definitely coming soon. I've actually got a few more ideas going around this area, but we're going to start today's episode off by going to the mine so we can get some more diamonds together and get hopefully a full set of armor and more tools and everything. As you can see, I've already swapped to the diamond pick. I'm really hoping to go ahead and just get a whole new set of fresh tools and hopefully be able to start enchanting, if not by this episode, at least by the next episode. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that today. Alright, so here we are at the mine entrance, and I'm going to level with you guys. I really have no idea what I'm going to do at this place. I've been trying to edit some ideas together in a creative test world, and I've got nothing so far. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm more of a redstone kind of guy, even though this is, a creative game. I kind of struggle with the creative aspect of it. I don't know, it's kind of weird. But yeah, I really don't know what I'm going to do with this area just yet. If you happen to have any ideas, be sure to comment them below and let me know what you guys think. But overall, I might just make a mine somewhere else because I actually have got a few other ideas in mind. So we'll see what happens. Also, you guys might experience a better visual quality through these episodes as I've recently swapped to the fabulously optimized mod pack on here. I was using Optifine at first and it was doing all right, but the fabulously optimized pack seems to work 10 times better. My frames have actually never been better than they are now. If you guys want a tutorial on how to install that for Minecraft Java Edition, I would love to make one for you guys. Just let me know if you guys want one and I will be sure to do that. What's this? Oh, nope. I'm not doing that. All right, so I was just strip mining, and I mean, we've come a pretty long ways there. But I've gotten all the way down here, and I kind of found this little cave-like thing up here. And I'm going to be honest with you, we haven't done any caving whatsoever so far this season. And well, I've been down here mining for like an hour and a half, and I've not really found anything. So I'm just going to go up there and explore a little bit, and hopefully we find something. I might regret this later. I really hope not. But we're going to see if there's anything up there. All right, so quick update. I just moved up here from down there, and well, I found a couple things of iron up here, which is definitely going to be grabbed. But I seen this out of the corner of my eye, which is definitely an abandoned mine shaft. So we are definitely about to check that out and see if we can find any loot in there. All right, guys, we found us a cave spider spawner. These I know are not the most efficient farms in the world, but well, I've used it a lot on Bedrock for early XP farms, so I might come back here and make this into an XP farm for the time being. I know it's not going to be anything great, but it is definitely usable, and it'll be great for string and spider eyes and things like that. I mean, mostly the string, but I mean, it'll do for now. I planned on doing like an actual XP farm later this episode, so we might just come back and use this, or we might actually make an actual mob farm. I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. But I'm definitely going to keep this one in mind. My sword just died, and I don't know my way out of here. This is not looking good at all. Um, if I can find the exit, that would be great. All right, I found the exit. It is time to get the heck out of here. All right, well, I've spent the greater part of the last 2 hours trying to, mine for diamonds and such. And probably the last 30 to 45 minutes of that was spent in the mine shaft. And, well, I'm kind of sick of being down there right now. So I'm probably just going to wait until I get fortune on my diamond pick. And then I'm going to go back down there for more. Oh, and I also went ahead and made a staircase leading down because I got tired of running up and down that and having to jump the entire way. It was getting pretty annoying. So anyway, I went ahead and gathered up my loot. This is pretty much what I've gotten so far. Yeah, I spent 2 hours and I only got 13 diamonds, and that is well, that is not good at all. But we did get the obsidian, which is good, and a bunch of redstone, which will be useful for later on, and some lapis because we will be enchanting soon, hopefully by the end of this episode, and some string from the webs and stuff. And I picked up a few of the rails because we're going to need that soon. And I pretty much filled up this chest full of, more deep slate and gravel and stuff. So that'll be useful. So I guess I'll meet you guys back at the house. We'll discuss further plans there. All right, you guys, we finally made it back home, and I think it's about time to get started on today's big plans. So we're going to remove this mound over here because it's kind of in the way, and I don't really know what else I'm going to do with it. So we're just going to get rid of it altogether, and we're going to kind of terraform around the area a little bit more, a little bit better, because, well, I mean, this looks pretty ugly right now, Got to get rid of that. And the big thing for me today is going to be adding in a field around this barn because, quite frankly, this area is super bare and I don't like it whatsoever. So we're going to probably add in a little bit of a barn extending all the way out here to probably this tree line. I'm probably going to get rid of most of the trees through here and get that area ready for a build later on for something. I don't know. But definitely going to add in a little farm around here and going up and around the mountain over here just to make this area look a little bit more lively because, frankly, a barn without a farm next to it, a field next to it, I should say, that, well, it looks a little bare. It looks like it's missing something, So we're going to add that in today. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and keep breeding the cows and everything that's in here. I haven't bred any of those yet because I don't have any carrots. But I am going to keep breeding up these guys in the meantime because, well, I mean, we're going to need this stuff later on anyway. So might as well. So I am going to go ahead and get a chest out here and get some materials put together. And I'm going to go ahead and get started on this. And, well, I'll see you guys in a minute. All right, so I've got everything set up. I've got some chests with some of the materials that we're going to be using. And I've got this growing back here just because I'm going to need some mossy cobble for some of the pathing. But since I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and get started on removing this and terraforming this. And then once I'm done with that, we're going to create a pathway leading on around here. And then we're going to kind of make a rough pathway going through here. And then we're going to get started on making the actual fields on both sides of it. All right, you guys, I finally finished the mound and I got it out of the way. And I've also kind of terraformed this little area. I'm probably going to keep tweaking it as I go because I'm not 100% satisfied with it. But in the meantime, this will actually do perfectly. This little flat area of land is actually going to be a good little area to add a little building later on as well, which will be nice because I really want to kind of fill out this entire area and get it going. But now that the mound is done and out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and start getting the path made and going up towards the barn over here. And hopefully we can go ahead and get started on the fields soon. That's definitely the highlight of this for me. I actually really enjoy terraforming and doing a bunch of stuff like that. I actually arguably think I'm a better terraformer than I am an actual builder, which is weird because usually people are better at building than terraforming. Terraforming is not exactly easy. But then again, I'm also better at redstone than I am at building too. So, it is what it is, I guess. So we're going to go ahead and get started on this path. All right, so we're going to start making the path like right about here. And we're going to probably just curve it up and around that way towards the barn. Let me show you guys what I'm thinking. So what I've got in mind is going up this little hill right here. And then kind of going up towards this area and then kind of curving back around and then leading up towards the door. I feel like making just a straight path is ridiculously boring. And nobody wants to see that. I mean, when you go to, a normal farm or anything like that, you don't see that. Yeah, you're going to see a bunch of curves and things like that. It looks more natural that way. It looks more interesting that way. So that's what I'm thinking is I'm going to kind of curve it up here and then kind of just curve it on around up into the doorway there. And then I'm probably going to do the same right here. I'm going to kind of curve it back this way and on out through that area of trees, which I mean, I still got to clean out this area of trees, but the path leading back this way is also not going to be that same block either. So we're going to figure that out as we get there, but for now we are going to go ahead and get started on this. So I was making the path, and I thought now would be a good time to explain to you guys how to make decent paths like this. I know a lot of people kind of struggle with this sort of thing, so I just kind of figured I'd give you some tips on it. So one thing you want to note is how far you're going with the path, in like one direction or whatever before it kind of shifts, where it's at. So you want to kind of vary in length a little bit. Like I've got to go in 3 blocks here, and then it's going to go over block, and then it's going up 5, and then 1, and then it goes 4, and then 3, and then 4 again, and you get the picture. And you just kind of want it to naturally curve like that. You don't want it to necessarily just be one straight line. This makes more sense than just having a straight diagonal line leading up to the barn, and it's much more interesting this way as well. It's important to keep in mind that you don't want these paths to be too long, but you don't also want them to necessarily be too short either. The reason you add kind of 1 here in the corner is because it's easier to maneuver that curve around, whenever you add that in there. It's easier to make it look like a more natural... Will you hush over there? Anyway, it's easier to make it look like a more natural curve. And that's what we're going for, is we want it to look natural. You don't want it to be more than probably about 7 blocks long. That's about the longest that I would ever make a path myself. So that just use those tips whenever you're making your own paths, and I think you'll find yourselves, having an easier time with it. It's definitely something that you have to practice and get used to before you officially get consider yourself good with it, I guess. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started dragging that all the way over there. And yeah, once we get that over there, I will show you some more. All right, so I've got the path made all the way over towards the barn, as you can see. And you can see I kind of curved it a little bit. I'm not quite happy with that area, so I'm going to go back and change that. But I do have it going a little bit. So what I'm going to show you real quick is what to kind of do from here. So a lot of people kind of mess up on expanding these 1 block paths. So what I tend to do is I'll just kind of figure out how big I want it to be. I want it to kind of just be a 2 block path all the way over there, and we might push it out to 3 once we get closer to the door. But in the meantime, we're just going to keep it at 2. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to start on this side, and I'm just going to kind of drag it out. And once you get to the corner block that was there, you'll go over 1 and then just keep going like that. And just kind of maneuvering it around like so. And that'll kind of help keep the path together and in line like that. And it also kind of widens it out more evenly. And that is something that I tend to mess up on a lot. And a lot of people seem to do that. So, that's a helpful little hint. So I'm just going to go ahead and push this all the way on around and kind of edit that one little area. And I'll kind of skip ahead once I get finished with that. All right, so I've finished making the path all the way up towards the barn. And as you can see, I've got it looking pretty decent for the most part. I might go back in and change this curve right here. But for the most part, I actually like the way it's looking. I mean, I've got it, curving, and in areas, it's kind of straight, almost like it's, following a trail, which is also going to add more to the realisticness of it as well, because, I mean, not everything is going to be just, like this, but you got to have some kind of straightness in there. So, what I'm about to do now is I'm about to go and start detailing a little bit. And by detailing, I mean, like, you can take some of these slabs. I mean, you can take slabs of kind of whatever your choosing is. But me, I personally prefer to use the spruce ones. And when you look underneath the slab against the the path block, you'll see that little pixel of a block kind of sitting there. So what I recommend doing is double slabbing it, so this way you can kind of get rid of that, because that does look a little bit harsh. and kind of just do that for every little step up you do. So this way, whenever you get ready to walk up or down, it's kind of smoother, and you're not just kind of having, these clunky little, jumps all around. It's, I guess, ease of access type of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. But there's also one other tip that I've got for you guys real quick, and that is going to be texturing. So one of my favorite things to do, and I mean, as most of you probably will know, texturing is a very important part of any build whatsoever. And you're going to kind of you don't want these paths to look, super smooth like this. Now, I kept the one around the house looking kind of smooth, but I feel like this area is meant to kind of, look like that, look very well kept. Where around these other areas, these are paths, people are really walking on them, people are seeing it. You kind of have to break it up a little bit. So in some of these corners and the outside edges and stuff like that, you can add in a little bit of coarse dirt, and it'll make it look a little bit more worn in. And in the busier areas, so like for instance, up here where I'm gonna add in the little intersection going, through the field or whatever, that you're going to probably want to add in a little bit more of it so it looks more walked on and more more used. So like right here, I'll probably add in a little bit more just to kind of break it up a little bit, and stuff like that. You just kind of want to add those in little areas and things like that. You can add in the coarse dirt. If I had rooted dirt, I would probably be using that a little bit more as well, but I don't have any of that right now. So that'll be one of those things I change later on. But these are, just a few little tips and stuff that I have for you for right now to do with it. If you guys happen to want any, full-length episodes on how to texture and things like that with these paths, or any tips on terraforming, let me know. I would actually really enjoy making those. I think you guys would enjoy seeing them as well, because terraforming and making these paths and stuff, that's something that a lot of people tend to struggle with. So I would personally love to help you guys with that. If you want to see more of that, just let me know, and I'll be sure to make a video on that. All right, so now that our path is in and detailed and everything, I mean, it's not 100% done, but I'm going to add a little bit more stuff to it here in a little bit. But now that it is done, I'm going to go ahead and start laying out the border for the field. I'm going to use these oak leaves going around the edge. I think that'll add to it. In the creative test world that I have, I actually really liked the effect that it had on it. So we're going to cover up a pretty large, area of land with this field. I don't even think I have enough seeds for it. I'm sure I don't have enough seeds for it. But, that's fine. We can expand on, the croppage as we go. But I'm going to go ahead and start getting this sorted and figured out. All right, so what I'm thinking is we're going to start probably right here against this post, and we're probably going to wrap it all the way around a good little area and link it up with this one, or in that area at the very least. Much like the actual pathway, we don't want it to look super straight, but we also want it to look pretty natural as well. So we're going to start it, and we're going to see where it goes. I mean, much like the same principles of making the pathway, you kind of want to be wary of how many blocks long you have each side or wall or whatever. You don't want it to look an unnatural amount. Like this right here against that curve doesn't really look right to me from here, so I'm probably going to curve it out just a little bit more, like that. And see, that looks a little bit better. You kind of want it to curve naturally around and make it look natural. I don't really know the other word to say it. I feel like I've said it too many times, that sentence, but that's really the only word there is to describe it. So we're going to go ahead and push it out, basically following the same kind of steps that I used with the pathway, as far as how big of a wall that we're going to be using. And we're going to, instead of reaching it out that way, we're just going to stand it up probably like a a 2 block tall thing like this. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get that started. All right, so I've got the wall in place now, and I think now's a good time as any to go ahead and start planting the field. So this way I can, get that growing while I'm making the path going through here, and then get the other side set up. I think it's going to be a lot easier for me to, know how much room I have to mess with for the other side of the field. If I even do one, I might not have enough room to really make one fit, but I figure it'd be easier to start one field and then do the path and then start the other one. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and start planting this field, and well, you guys will see in this short little time lapse. Let's go. All right, guys, I finally got the field done back there, and I've already made the little path. I haven't done this field yet, but I was waiting on the rest of this to kind of grow up because I was going to harvest most of it to make it easier to get this side done because, well, I just didn't want to be running back and forth the entire time. But I did go ahead and get this path put in, and I love doing these little stone textured paths. They're so simple, and yet they add so much to the area. One little trick that I've learned is, adding these buttons to the ground, make it look like you've got little pebbles and stuff like that. And I've actually got some of the cobblestone micro blocks put up, which I was going to kind of add to the area as well to make it look like I've got slightly bigger stones. And I've also added these stairs in places to kind of add a little bit of depth, to add the kind of feeling that, certain areas have been more worn in than others. And I also tried this little subtle gradient, like a kind of easing into the stone path, if you will. I didn't want it to be such a harsh transition, and I think I could do a little bit of a better job at, doing the transition. So I'm probably going to tweak that a few more times, but all in all, that's looking pretty good. And I'm going to go ahead and get this other field harvested and start getting it moved in on this other side. And once that is done, I'm going to go ahead and build this wall up just a little bit more. And, well, we'll call the field good. And from there, we can start on the next part of the episode. All right, guys, our field is finally done, or at least is done for the most part. Most of the wheat has already kind of grown up, but I did notice I missed a few places, but that's not important. I can add those in later. For the most part, this has added a bunch of life to the area. It makes it stand out a bit more. If you remember how it looked at the beginning of the episode, it was super, super barren. And now it looks just 10 times better than it did before. And I'm thinking we're probably going to start by adding in a little building out here, maybe in next episode. I'm not entirely sure just yet. I know I say that a lot, that I'm not entirely sure. But we'll, we'll kind of figure that... Ooh, a wandering trader. Yeah, we'll kind of figure that out as we go. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and start having a little, a little chat with our cows up here. Gotta tell them about how noisy they're being. I mean, listen to this. Yeah, this is obnoxiously loud. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to take care of them and get an enchantment table made, hopefully. Well, that about takes care of that. All right, well, with that being done and out of the way, we can go ahead and make our first enchantment table. I'm probably not going to go ahead and enchant this episode, as this episode has already been long enough, but we can go ahead and at least make the enchantment table, and I can start planning a building out for the enchantment table and the enchantment room in general. All right, and here we go. All right, you guys, I've got the bookshelves made for the enchantment table, but I think we're all out of time for today's episode. It's taken me long enough to film this one as is. So with that being said, if you like today's episode, please be sure to leave a like down below and also comment letting me know what you guys look forward to seeing in future episodes or any ideas that you might possibly have for me. And also subscribe to the channel because, you know, it helps your boy out. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next episode of Solely Survival. Goodbye, everybody.